the other day, just parked watching.
Yes.
And I said, that's inspection, that's what that is. Under the old vehicles, it was
Oh, yeah,
28 high. Newer one is 47.
I don't think that part.
I had it memorized.
Recording in progress.
I'd like to call the East Cocalico Township meeting Thursday, June 17th to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to ask everyone to please double check their cell phones, electronic devices, and make sure that they're either off or they're on vibrate. Thank you. There were no executive sessions held since the June 3rd Board of Supervisors meeting, our last supervisors meeting. I'd also like to state that the Thursday, June 17, 2021 Board of Supervisors meeting was duly advertised in accordance with the Sadler Class Township Code in the Lancaster newspaper on April 14, 2021. Gentlemen, we have the past meeting minutes for approval. Any comments, questions, corrections? Okay with that?
I do not have anything.
So I'm looking for a motion for approval of the Thursday, June 3rd, 2021 Board of Supervisor meeting minutes.
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. Motion carries. Okay, land planning engineer.
All right, first up is Pepperidge Farm. Pepperidge Farm and Campbell's Soup Company are looking to make an initiative to improve the safety of pedestrians on their plants nationwide. Pepperidge Farm, obviously being under the Campbell's Soup Company, they're looking to improve pedestrian access to the parking areas and around the building. So recently we were in contact with Fuhr Associates and Veronica here with us tonight, and they are looking to propose the installation of a couple sidewalks around their parking area, redoing part of their parking. While they are redoing it, they are actually increasing the amount of spaces that they currently have, and creating areas more pedestrian friendly where people can get out of their cars and walk down designated crosswalks. Another aspect of the scope of the project is a truck maneuvering area that is towards the north of the site, I believe, that pretty much improves their current site distance when trucks are pulling out in and out of their access drives. So based on this regulated activity and trying to help Pepperidge out and move this project along as quickly as possible and make sure that it's efficient in the time management spent on it, Veronica came forward with a waiver modification of section 185 of the Stormwater Management Ordinance to ask relief of Pepperidge, relieve the applicant from creating new impervious areas and move forward this project as a small project. So just for instance, this project currently has 6,257 square feet of additional impervious and 7,000 square feet of earth disturbance. That would exceed the small project application, but based on the application of a small maneuvering area towards the north of the building and the additional sidewalks, we figured that it could be discussed by the board. I would highlight that in the last 3 years, Pepperidge has done a major basin modification project that was part of prior improvements, and as part of that basin 1 improvements, they do have additional impervious area that can go to that basin. So stormwater management is not a big, it's already accounted for going to that basin. And more recently, Pepperidge Farm has done a maintenance project that was initiated by township inspections to clear and redo some items in Basin 2. Pepperidge Farm has 2 main basins, so Basin 1 was done a couple years ago. Basin 2 is actually in the process of being finalized and being finally calculated. As those plans come back to us and recorded another agreement. So as far as we're concerned, we would appreciate that if the board just discussed it amongst themselves and determined if maybe this project could move forward as a small project to make it as easy as possible in Pepperidge Farm for getting it through, instead of going through the whole stormwater management ordinance and creating a full-blown plan for something that they already have applicable management standards set forth for. With that being said, Veronica, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure you saw the plan. If you wanted to see it bigger, I have the plans here, you can look at them. Hopefully, you can see from where you see it. If not, I do have an extra one I can give you guys. You want to pull it up there, or do you have it on there at least?
I've got it on my, I don't know if Mike has.
We don't have it on here, no.
Okay, so, so this is the existing plan, and it doesn't show any crosswalks. Basically, everybody that comes into the parking lot parks and then walks, you know, like most people would, towards the building. There is the existing sidewalk along along the front of the existing building, but that doesn't include any sidewalk that would be within the parking area or crosswalks that would be within the parking area. So Pepperidge, Campbell, with the initiative of Campbell's, actually Campbell's came in and came up with a crosswalk design that is mostly striping, with the exception of some places where it goes through the islands, which is where we're talking about today, with a little bit of an additional impervious. I highlighted those, it's such a small amount, I highlighted it in orange, so you can see those places where the sidewalk would added. And then the crosswalk would just be striping with curb stops. And then the additional area that he was talking about, the driveway is right here. They have a flower unloading area right here, and they need a little bit more room there to maneuver. There also is a pretty good sized berm here in this location. So we're going to look at cutting that berm back, so when you take a left, you can see, and the person, anybody that would be walking, although there shouldn't be many people walking this area, but the idea is that this would be there would be a clearer sight going both directions if we did that. And then in addition to that, they also added speed bumps, which are in pink, going all the way around to slow down any traffic that would be going around the circle, mostly tractor trailers. So that's, and then the basins, like you said, were recently upgraded. So this little tiny bit of impervious shouldn't have any, there shouldn't be any problem with them. So if you have any questions.
Can you do me a favor? Can you show me
Sure.
those? Thank you.
Apologize. I'm sorry, I should have had a board to put this up on. I don't have a board.
Stretch it out for
There we go. So these are the orange is the places where we'll be adding sidewalk. So you can see they're just little sections through the islands. And then the pinks are the speed bumps that Pepperidge put in to slow down traffic. And then this is the area that we were talking about that will be a little bit of impervious in order to clean up this area and make the driveway site easier to see around this corner so they can see traffic coming both directions and pedestrians. So, yeah. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions?
I guess I do for Casey. The way I read this, there's extra stormwater room in the basins as constructed to handle this additional impervious.
Actually, Basin 1 was redone as part of a project in the rear, like a maintenance access boiler room building. And as part of that basin, additional impervious was added to that basin, or accounted for in that basin. This is well below how it's accounted for. And then the second basin was just recently done as part of a maintenance project, and elevations got changed, the outlet structure got raised, the rate got reduced. So as far as we're concerned, they're final stormwater management.
There's plenty of capacity there.
Yes. The basins were designed in 1989, and Veronica made them much better as part of the improvement.
Yeah, without even knowing about the additional square footage. So, and just to give you an idea, like the drainage area that's going to this basin is roughly 25 acres, and this would be 0.08 additional impervious. So when you look at the numbers, it's actually such a minor amount. It wouldn't even change the numbers actually. So, but in addition to that, we did improve the basin just in the last year, and we reduced the orifice from a 12-inch. Actually, it was in poor condition. There's a pipe that had. So we cleaned it all up. Is the end result. So now the orifice is slightly smaller, so it provides better rate reduction. And then we also raised the outlet structure to a higher height, so that it creates more storage in the current basin for basin 2.
Basin upgrades are a good thing.
So what Pembroke is looking for is that they can proceed under the requirements of a small project instead of proceeding under the regulated activity under the stormwater management ordinance, which we would recommend. Again, this is an easy project. They already are accounted for. All they have to do is meet the criteria set forth in that small project manual.
And if I'm correct here, then it's only 3,500 square feet of extra proposed cabin is what you have here.
It's 3,500 for that driveway area,
Right.
and then it's 2,700 and what's the exact number?
Total is about 6,200.
Yeah. So there are two different drainage areas. They go to two different basins. So that's why I was explaining those, separately.
Questions? Questions or comments?
If you're okay with that, I do have a written recommended motion if you'd like to read it.
So someone want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that, as per the
Casey,
recommendation.
So I jotted some notes down today. So my recommended motion would be to conditionally approve the Pembroke Farm pedestrian safety improvement project to proceed under the requirements of the small project application, conditioned upon the applicant consultant executing the small project application to satisfaction of the township and township engineer. So again, the approval tonight is not necessarily of the entire project. The approval is that they have to meet the requirements of the small project worksheet and packet.
So the motion was that we approve it based on your recommendation, really, correct?
Sure.
Okay. Well, then I so move.
Okay, we'll hear a second.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion, we have a second. Comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries.
I have the corrected application here. Can I give that to you?
You can give it to Mike.
Okay. Look at that right now. So thank you. You're good.
Yep.
Thank you all. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, the second item is related to Wabash Landing. Obviously, Brent, I believe, talked to you probably pretty heavily about Wabash Landing last night or last week or 2 weeks ago at the last meeting. Recently, the Pioneer Management, the applicant consultant, has reached out to us to get the board's view on a sign placement. As part of any development, you have to do a traffic impact study for PennDOT, post-PennDOT roads. And, right, so as part of the impact study, PennDOT wanted something to happen with the queuing along Church Street in this direction. Obviously, we think that sign will work for and fix all the issues of Church Street, of course. No, I'm kidding. But that sign is to make sure that people don't block Faust Lane and ensure a better queuing of that roadway. So really the question comes down to, would the board be okay with the township road crew installing that sign, purchasing the sign, and then billing the developer, I think it's Sunview Partners, for the installation and material. That was a request of the developer. He felt more comfortable with the township to take care of it, put it in with their equipment, their sign posts, their signs, and then just send them a bill. Both us and Ritu, the traffic engineer did not think that the township would need an agreement or require Wabash Landing's homeowner association to take care of this sign, especially because it was so far away from the development. So essentially, what's being proposed is that the township would install the sign for Wabash Landing. They would bill Wabash Landing for the signage for the installation, and then it would become a township sign and maintenance obligation of the township. And I think, Mike, you had some correspondence with it, if you want to say
Yeah,
this.
the copy that I distributed to you, what's up on the board, is just from Ritu in regard to where that sign needs to be placed, how high it needs to be off the ground, the type of sign that needs to be purchased. So, you know, if we're going to maintain it and own it, you know, the only other thought I had was, do we want to buy 2 of them immediately, and then we build the developer, and then if something were to go wrong and someone would run over that sign, we would just replace it like we would one of our other signs, it's a speed limit or something like that. But I don't, it's a regular post going in the ground, and you can see the sign there, so there's not a major issue with our guys doing it. We should be able to do that.
But it would take a one call.
Yeah.
Any questions, comments?
Seriously.
Yes,
Does that
sir.
go to the left-hand side or does that go on the right-hand side? That sign?
It's on the right-hand side by the pole. They just have it highlighted there, and there's a
Okay.
red line.
Why is it so far away from the development?
So this is part of the traffic impact study. So when applicants do any kind of project, they have to do a PennDOT scoping meeting, and PennDOT determines what intersections are to be looked at, and then PennDOT highlights what intersections you may impact and certain items that you're going to have to fix as part of those intersections. So this is one of the items, the queuing along Church Street in that vicinity and blocking Faust Lane was one of those items that the sub-consultant had to come up with fixing, and this was their fix to do not block in that intersection.
I don't think that sign would work. I live on Faust Lane, so. But. It's an extra piece of that.
So, do you have a recommended motion for
I
that?
think Mike actually recommended this.
Yeah, I just think if you want to go with purchase 2 signs, the motion was essentially to authorize the township roadmaster to purchase and install the do not block intersection sign on Church Street and Faust Lane, and to bill the developers, Sunview Partners, for the cost of materials and labor to install.
I will make that motion. I agree with, let's get 2 of those signs, just in case somebody takes one of them out there. Let them know.
It's a good job to keep our supply in place. I'm just throwing it out there. You know, if we should buy one, it would be asking too much for the people. Inventory for it, so.
It's one sign, they can mix it.
Yeah, I don't know, what's your thought?
I think that we should have one in inventory simply because if, and I hear the gentleman that says it's pretty far from Wabash Landing, but if PennDOT thinks that this is so important that it needs to be, then if something happens to the sign, I want it to be able to be replaced the next day.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
The board would be okay with not making an agreement just for that sign to be maintained by the homeowner association of Wabash. The board would be okay with the township taking care of the maintenance and responsibility once it's in.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's all I'm saying,
Because it is pretty far from Wabash
Yeah.
Land.
All right.
So we have a motion, do we have a second?
Yeah, okay, I'll say.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, none, motion carries.
That's all we have tonight for the engineer report, so if there's no further questions, I can head out. I would love to.
I'm good.
No further
Yeah,
questions?
thank you, Casey.
No problem. Good night.
Thank you. Okay, I have a letter here I'd like to read. It's addressed to the East Cocalico Township Board of Supervisors, 100 Hill Road, Denver, Pennsylvania, 17517. Dear Supervisors, please accept my resignation as East Cocalico Township Zoning and Code Enforcement Officer effective 2 weeks from this date, June 10, 2021. I have enjoyed working for the township and serving the residents of this municipality over the past 14 years. Cordially, Tony Luongo. I am asking for a motion with regrets to accept the resignation of our zoning officer, Tony Luongo.
Yeah, let me say a few things. I've known Tony for a long time, since when he was on zoning hearing board, going back more than 14 years. I've always appreciated his candor, his love of the township. He's a guy that would come to work. He would like to be here. He wanted the best for the township. He had a job that, just was not always easy. There's people he would go out to and they wouldn't like seeing him come with, or see an enforcement letter come from him. But, as a whole, most everybody in the community appreciated his ability to work with them and be cordial. And, I'm personally going to miss having him here in the building. But, I know it's probably the best thing for him personally, with some of the things he's been through in the last few years. So, I am happy to make that motion with severe regrets, but with the understanding that it's the best thing for him personally. So I will make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I second that motion. If you may add, both regrets and appreciation. I had a chance to chat with him a little bit about this after we received the letter, and made me happy to hear that he had an opportunity, and he is going to pursue that opportunity. It's not with another township. He wasn't looking to jump communities or whatever you want to call it, but an opportunity presented itself, and he's seizing that opportunity, and I said, good for you. I won't say how old he is, but he's approaching a milestone, and he chooses to see what else he can do in this world. Good for him.
I want to add to that. I spoke with Tony myself also, and Tony has a pretty remarkable opportunity. He told me he's going back to his roots on the engineering side. So I wish him all the best. So, have a motion.
I got a question about that there. I talked to him myself. And
Wait, if you hold on a second. Status that we see Mr. Luongo leave, he has served the township gracefully over the years. However, I was curious, you guys have had a little bit of time, I believe it was dated the 10th of this month, the process of leaving. On the bills to be processed today, we already have $25,000 worth of bills to approve for an engineering firm. With him leaving, what are your thoughts, what are your plans to replace him with another person to do that, or are you planning on using engineering services and spending more money along the lines of what we're going to be talking about in the detail?
So we'll call for the question, then we'll answer those questions. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. Okay. Mike, you want to answer the one about what we're doing, kind of jumping ahead here.
Sure. Yeah, we obviously have a very short window to fill a very important position. So far through, I guess it was June 15th this year, we've already processed 199 zoning permits, so that's not going to slow down. It's important that the township's able to kind of keep moving forward as we look to see which direction we're going to go with that department. So yes, we did draw up an RFP and actually did get in contact with multiple firms, and we got a proposal from one firm to do contracted services, which the board will discuss tonight. Actually, we just got it about 4:30 today. Because there's a time frame, obviously, to draw up, to get a clear understanding of what's involved, what's going to need to be involved, to be able to get it down in writing so that we can share it and get some quotes back from people as to what that service would be. So that's really more of a short-term approach to make sure that we can continue to do what we need to do, that we can continue to process permits, we continue to move forward, deal with zoning hearing board meetings. And then the township will be looking into that department and see which direction we're going in the future with that. It's a zoning and code office. Is there a community development component to it? But there's a process that needs to be drawn up to look at the duties and the responsibilities, how the department's put together, and the direction we want to go. And all that takes time. Even if we were just to keep the department as it is and just go advertise, we're still looking at advertising, bringing in applications, interviewing. There's a process to do all that. So we just want to make sure that in the interim, we don't drop the ball and we kind of fall back. You know, I'm here, just been here now 8 days, so or is it 9 days now, I guess, and doing part-time there, we just don't have that situation for someone to step right in there. We do have administrative support that's currently here in that office that's going to be key in order to make sure we keep that connection going. But this is really a short-term fix to make sure we don't lose something any more than we have already with Tony leaving. We keep that process going until we're able to formalize it moving forward.
Yes, sir.
I don't think Tony wants to leave. I think there's more stuff going on behind the scenes that we're losing people here, and I want to know why that is. And he's a good guy to be losing. So something's going on up there that these people are leaving.
Comment to that?
Yeah, I want to, I agree with Jim saying in the background. It seems recently, within the past
I can't hear you, I'm sorry. No.
I said, yeah, like I said, in the past three or 4 months, we've lost a township supervisor, we've lost a manager, now we're losing a zoning officer, we're losing some people in the chief's office. So that's a concern as a resident of the township. And so, I don't know all the reasons why Tony's leaving, but there's a concern in the township about what's going on. So I just want to voice that, and I also agree with Ray. And, I didn't talk to Tony personally. I had him do some permits at our residence, but I don't know what the time frame is that we're looking at to get him replaced. And I know that the manager just talked about some things, but I think it's a concern.
Thank you.
I'd like to add, I agree with both the gentlemen. There's definitely something not right going on right now. I mean, if you read some of the posts on Facebook, our township is getting such a bad reputation. And I just think as, part of the community, we need to know what's going on. What happened in the last 4 or 5 months that we're losing all these good people? And, yeah.
I agree. If you look at it in a business world, when you lose so many top people in your organization, there are some serious issues that need to be dealt with. We've had serious issues in this township for a while and nothing's been done about them. And now we're losing very good people, and it's all being hushed up, and no one's talking about it, we can't talk about it. And we need to take a good internal look. One issue is transparency. We have not seen transparency from our board of supervisors in a very long time. And Another memo, I believe, is truthfulness. We're not being given the truth when we ask questions. The residents of this township, I think, have had enough, and that's why you see the increase in the township meeting attendance, the increase in people speaking, and we're not going to give up. We're not going to go away. We love our township, and to see so many key people leave in such a short period of time, we need to do a deep look as to why and what's going on behind the scenes that we don't know about.
Let me address the transparency issue. It would be totally unprofessional, improper, unethical for anybody on this board to discuss personnel matters. If you're questioning why people left, by all means, go talk to the individuals. But we sitting in our chairs
I'm telling
cannot-
you, it has to do with yous. That's why they're leaving. And they won't say, because you guys are giving them bad reps. That's the problem. And you're a big problem of it. I'm telling you that right now, you are. And hopefully the next election, you're gone.
Let me say a few things. You know, when I first took office, I saw quite a few problems here as well over the years. And I came in with that kind of attitude as well, that, there were some things that needed to change. And, one of the big frustrations on my part is that when you deal with personnel, you can't just step up and say everything that you'd like to say. And I wish I could. I really do, because I'll be totally honest with everyone here. It's frustrating to me that you have to come in and respect employees, and it goes against my grain not to be honest with people. It really does. And there's times things are out of your control, and that's me talking from my perspective. And I wish it was different. But you have employees, and they have rights. They do. And to the chairman's point, maybe they want to say something on their own. That's up to them. But I wish sincerely that I could say more than I do. I wish I could.
I do respect that. I do respect the fact that there are certain things you cannot say. I guess what I'm asking is, with just any business, you lose so many top executives, the leaders of that business have to do a deep dive into what's going on. Why are they leaving? What are we doing? What are we not doing? I want to know what the supervisors are planning on doing to stop this flow, this outward flow of good people from our township. And to be able to encourage people to come in and serve in those positions with the strong convictions that they're going to be treated fairly.
Where is our township going from here? What's going to happen in the future?
Okay, then my turn again. In about the last 20 years, we've gone through, I'm going to say, 5 or 6 managers, Doug. I'm close. 5 or 6 township managers. And one of those, she probably served 10 of those 20 years, Karen Polk. One of the directions that we're currently going is we acted as quickly as the law would allow to bring on our next door neighbor and his 20 years of experience in the Cocalico area. And we look forward, we look forward to a long-lasting professional relationship the effort of review accurately reported that it's a one-year relook, and either party, either municipality can pull out with a 90-day notice, correct?
That's correct.
And so we have a direction we want to go. You heard him just explain to you what we intend to do both near term and quite possibly longer term regarding the position, and hope that, I'll say, hope that we struck pay dirt with a manager who knows this community, and I voted for it, I welcome it. I'm trying to be as transparent as a big fat guy can be transparent, but you ask me, I'll tell you. And I was, 35, 38 years ago, I was a zoning permit officer here in East Cocalico. And I know it's not an easy job. I know that. You won't, as the chair said, you won't always like what the zoning permit officer person tells you. But I can tell you from my perspective, and I believe this board, I will never lie to you. You won't always like what I said, but I will never lie to you.
Yes, Alan.
Alan Fry. I'd like to commend Tony for all he's done for the township for the last, 12 years? 14 years, yeah. Because being a zoning officer is a 24/7 job. There's a house, had a tree hit up in the hill during the evening, he was at that. The fire over to Stevens, he was called to that. The Church Street, Reevestown, a car went into the kitchen during the nighttime, and he was called to that. And he had a lot of relationship with different builders and stuff like that. And when you sit at a pre-planning meeting, they usually try to throw him under the bus. So he did a good job for the township, and I want to personally praise him because it was great to work with him over these years. And we've come a long way in the last 14 years. So that was my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me add to that. On a recent Sunday morning, a couple months ago, he was out at a problem up at Renninger's there with emergency personnel, and he was always there for that off hours. So I appreciate him for that kind of commitment.
Next item.
Sorry,
Sorry, go ahead.
there's rumors going around that someone wrote out a check for $100,000 to someone. And they won't say to who. And also the rumor is that the books are missing. Now you just got done saying that you would never lie to us.
The books are not, well, I don't know what you mean by the books. The books are not missing. What are missing are the W-2s from, I'll say, 3 months ago, something, 4 months ago, something, a while ago, before I got here.
Okay.
But the books are not missing, no.
And is that, the check that was written out for $100,000, is that right or wrong?
There is a payment as part of a MOU made by the previous board. I don't recall the exact number, but it's not a small number.
I mean, that's just rumors, and I appreciate you clarifying that.
There's a payment in tonight's list of bills.
Excuse me, sir?
There's a payment in tonight's list of bills.
Any other questions? Okay, moving on to the request for proposal, the RFP for the municipal solicitor.
Sure. The township was notified recently that Thomas Goodman from Goodman and Kneff, who's a longtime township solicitor, will no longer be representing the township as we get through to December 31st, beyond December 31st. So again, as trying to prepare for the change and how we're moving forward, another RFP was developed to be able to send out to local firms that are representing local townships of similar size, both in Lancaster County and in Berks County. We'll also look to tie in with the Lancaster County Bar Association, and essentially to have them submit a request for proposal so the board will review and decide on a new solicitor moving forward after that time. The goal would be to get somebody on board so that we can have some crossover with Mr. Goodman, who's been, I don't know how long he's been a solicitor here, but for a very long time. There's always a sharing of files when you switch out professional services, all that. But there, as you all know, there's also that information that you get from just working somewhere for that long. So we want to make sure it's as smooth of a transition as possible. And this is a process to go and to advertise and to bring people in, to interview them, develop a short list, and then ultimately for the board to decide on who's going to be our municipal solicitor moving forward.
And just so, ma'am, just so you understand, this is not another resignation or whatever, or someone fleeing or whatever you want to call it.
I could hate to disagree with you, but I kind of thought he was leaving because he wasn't happy.
No,
Well, that's the impression I got when I talked to him.
I have known Tom Goodman since 1974.
I'm talking about Tony.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I didn't want you to think that here's another resignation, here's another opening, etc.
I think Craig's referring specifically to our township
Yeah,
solicitor.
to Tom Goodman. And I won't say how old Tommy is, but he surely is old enough to retire, and he's going to. And he came to us way back when, and Larry could research and find out for you, but the firm was called Shirk Price Walking Sellers, and Goodman, and then it went, and Meekum, and then it was Shirk Price Walking Sellers, Shirk, I believe, and this would entail Junior, but that's how long Tom's been here, for decades and decades.
And people have a right to retire.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the day.
So, Mike, for comments, would you need a motion for that?
Yeah, we should have a motion so that will authorize me to forward these RFPs and collect this information, and we'll develop our short list, interview, and then go from there.
Someone want to make that motion?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, was it your gentleman's thought that there'd be some overlap here before the end of the year, just to keep, for history purposes, I guess?
From a legal perspective, I think an overlap would be vital. If we could get it done in time, I think it'd be really important.
That was my.
Because you need that for a smooth transition.
That's, yeah, that would be good.
So I'll make the motion to authorize the township manager to move forward with a East Cocalico Township request for proposal for municipal solicitor for the purpose of engaging in a law firm or individual as a municipal solicitor for East Cocalico Township.
I will second that.
Comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Okay. Next item, CM High, the traffic signal repair estimate.
June 7th, Township received from CM High copies of repair estimates for 6 traffic signals owned by the Township: Route 272 Garden Spot Road, 272 Kurtz Road, 272 Church Street, 272 Wabash Road, 272 897, and Colonel Howard Boulevard at Route 222 North. This is based off of, CMI does inspections each year, and there were inspections that were noted in November of last year that did not get completed, the work did not get completed. They were back out again in April and identified these concerns. And so the total cost is $7,108.31 for all 6. Now that I have them, usually like to move as quickly as we can to make sure the signals are operating, they're safe. And CMI is the company that we contract with to do the inspections and also to do the repairs. So there's a motion for the board to consider tonight to contract with CMI to complete the required repairs of those traffic signals that I mentioned, all 6 of them, at a total cost of $7,108.31 as per the estimates they submitted.
Questions? Gentlemen, comments? None?
RC.
Yes, sir.
In the past, the cost for the light at Garden Spot Road and 272 has always been shared with Ephrata Township. Is that because it's right on the line? Is that going to be the same deal on this one? You're probably not even aware of that, but that's the way it's always been.
Yeah, if there is especially an agreement like that where it's shared, we'll have the work done and then we'll invoice Ephrata Township for their portion.
Thank you.
Yeah, that light there's got an estimate of $1,385. Several problems wrong.
Does anybody know if those are all converted over to LED, or if they're still incandescents?
I'm not sure.
At that price.
Yeah, and the repairs, actually, a lot of these repairs are in the box themselves. Some are signage, it may not be bulbs or the light itself, it may be in a control. Sometimes fuses go out, things like that. It's wiring, they get worn or frayed.
Yeah, so let me back up what Mike's saying. Let me give you an example. So the one Doug was just talking about, Route 272 and Garden Spot Road, the one that's shared with Ephrata. Item number 1 is a push button. It's the cabinet corner push button crossing at 272 that has to be replaced, $324.10. Item number 2 is the junction boxes and the handholds. The southwest corner of the junction box next to the signal pole is underneath a recently installed guardrail and needs to be physically removed. So that one's $492. And then the third item is miscellaneous. It's westbound on Route 272 is missing a lane use control signal, an R3-8, 30 by 30. This will need a PA1 call, and that's $568.99. So that's the type of, the range of the work. Yes, sir.
So just to understand, what is the determination on which lights get serviced? Is there like a plan where like a group of gets like service and another group?
We have a service contract on all the lights
Okay.
that are our responsibility in the township. And in their service work, they've come up with these issues.
Gotcha. So they basically go around, take a test everything, and see what's wrong with them. Got it. Okay.
The cost on the service contract is much cheaper than having to call them on Monday morning and tell them it doesn't work.
No, I
Please
understand
be
that.
here the next hour. That gets expensive.
Yeah, being on call is critical, and especially with different types of problems that come up when traffic is key. I was just curious on how that process worked because it was unaware of it. So thank you for explaining.
CMI is out of Myerstown, if I recall.
Myerstown, yes.
And I won't say they have the majority of the contracts around here, but I suspect so.
We'll be getting into themselves. Sure, I understand. Yeah, no worries. I'm just understanding the process. Thank you.
Do I have a motion for CMI?
No move.
So moved. So the motion on the table.
Authorized.
Okay, so the motion is to contract with CMI Incorporated to make the required repairs to the traffic signals.
As per the rest.
It's per the estimates. Exactly. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any other comments or questions? Oh, one more. Yes.
Just, when in the plan, we put the Opticom in at 272, 897, and that's the only light that does not have an in yet. the switches.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. The light at 272 and 897, gentlemen, does not have the Opticom in it yet. When is the plan to put one in there? Is that on the books yet? The switches, so when we can just...
Is that on the 897 side?
Well, it's not on any of them. So no matter how we enter that intersection, there's, you know, the emergency personnel cannot switch that light. That's the only one left in the township yet.
It's not, it's just a repair of
Okay,
the phase 4 detector and
then we'll check on that
Okay.
and get back to you for the next meeting.
I mean, I'm just wondering since it's the only one left in the township to go now. Thank you.
Yeah, because these are just the repair ones.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries. Next item, recreation, ball court lighting at Reedstown Park.
Yep, I'll start it, and then Ed, if you on the rec board on that. I did attend the rec board meeting earlier this month, and earlier this month, it's been within 9 days, so. And they did talk about the basketball court, the work had been done there. Recently added a repaint. They were looking at some possible future improvements. But the rec board had also obtained a quote to contract with Tyler Fictorn Electric to install a 24-hour timer, which will activate a 60-minute timer to turn the lights on at the basketball court by the Reedstown pool. The timer can be set for anyone and any time on, any time off, which will then turn off within 60 minutes. We mount on the exterior of the electrical box at the court, and the 24-hour timer will be installed inside the lockbox. The quote also includes adjusting 4 lights so that they do not impact neighboring residents' yards in that area. Total cost for the work is $950, and that would be coming out of the recreation fund. Anything?
Yeah, and just by like local, I mean, first off, I don't know if anyone's driven by it, there's kids playing on it all the time. So it's being well used. We've gotten solicitations on to rent the courts, so which is really awesome. So we feel as the Park and Rec Board, this is a huge win for the community, a huge win. With that being said, we also understand that the history of the lights and the basketball court back in the day, we used to deposit a quarter, there weren't any houses that were essentially butted up to the basketball court, where then at one point, from my understanding, they were playing basketball until 1 o'clock in the morning, which personally, I think that's ridiculous. And so I would be upset as well. With that being said, I did ask local residents, asking them how and what their thoughts were on the basketball court. They really liked it. It's being used properly. People are respecting it, which is great. But I also asked, if we were to change and to turn on the lights, what would be appropriate shut-off shut-off time? And they said essentially that between 9 and 9:30. I think that's fair. I think our town residents is 10 o'clock that we have to be out of the parks or by dusk. Or I think you might say a special occasion or special
occasion, 10 o'clock.
Yeah. But I think that having the
Otherwise it's dusk.
otherwise dusk. Well, with the lights being there, and we felt as a board that 9:30 would be a good compromise where the kids can come out and play basketball, but then they're not banging the basketball, at 10 o'clock when residents want to go to sleep. So we're just asking for one to pass the motion to have a governor on there to have for discussion approval for either 9:30 or 9 o'clock shut off. We would prefer 9:30, but again, it's something that we would ask the motion for so that we can start implementing it, and that way the basketball courts can be used.
And that quote, did that put the timer in there for the shut off and then was there? Okay.
we used to run into problems where people would put quarters in the machine and then we would show up and say, enough to leave, and they said, we just put quarters in the machine, so it's good.
Yeah, and the other thing to consider, the ordinance that you have on the books now says all parks shall be closed for 1 half hour after sundown, except for lighted courts controlled by coin meters, which kind of operation are set by the board of supervisors. in which case users have 1/2 hour after lighted courts are closed to leave the park until 6 a.m. So in that case, if you do 9 o'clock, you know that they have till 9:30 to have to leave the park and then hopefully not return to 6 in the morning.
You got to put signage up then too for that, because there's no signage like that there now, so.
Okay.
I have a question. In the past, excuse me, Mike, right?
Yeah, sure.
In the past, when those lights were on, and there were people that would come after they were done working, like an Acme or Pepperidge Farm, they'd be there till like 2 in the morning. And then in the morning, the court would be trashed
Sure, I
with
understand that.
tea, containers, soda, the whole bit. So who cleans all that up?
Sure. So, that's a good question. One of it is to most likely have some sort of receptacle or waste there.
There were trash cans there.
I
They trash it, okay? And I can tell you who used to clean up. Right here,
Okay.
and Jane Weber lived in the development and would walk her dog, and she'd be another person that would clean up. So that's what you're gonna be dealing with. You better have somebody lined up to come down there and clean up if it's gonna be your road crew guys or whatever, but we live there. I don't see how that's gonna change, so I think there should be some things in place.
So what are you suggesting then?
Well, I don't know. I'm just telling you, that's what does happen when you have groups that play back there.
Sure, I can understand that, and, you know, I get that, but again, I mean, any suggestions that you may have that you think of?
You know,
please-
the trash can's there, but they don't use it.
So, okay, so let me, that was, I definitely understand why you'd be frustrated and why you'd be concerned about that based on past history.
Do you see with the lights being off at 9:30, that continuing to be such a problem, or?
That's what I was getting at.
Not necessarily, although sometimes, right now, when it's dark, there are people back there. The other week,
I'm sorry.
excuse me, last week, one night, there were younger kids, and they were out there till about 11:15. And, you know, I'm not late, that's not a problem, except if there are people that live along there with little children. If you have basketballs bouncing till 11, 12 o'clock, then it isn't fair to people that live there.
If they
Well, we're not-
are aware to call us, I can say, I can't tell you how many times when I was on patrol, we will go out, we'll educate them. Usually it only takes one time to say, you know, it closes at this time, you need to move on. So by all means, they
I'm
need
not
to call us.
against it.
No, but they need to call
You know, I'm
us.
all about having places for kids to be and play. I just wish there was a way to, you know, have people, and it was a lot of adults that trashed it. You know, to educate
But that was
them.
late at night though,
It
too.
was late at night, but
So again, I think by having, everything, you've shared your concerns regarding the timing, you mentioned 1 o'clock, you mentioned 11:30. We're talking about more of a 9:30 shut off, like in other words, 9 o'clock, 9:30 the hard, it's boom, boom, come, see things from home. So if we're not talking 11, we're not talking about 1. I shared that with you, that that's unfair to the residents, and it's unfair to, really, the township, because there's rules and regulations, right? So, at the end of the day, I think what we're trying to do is accomplish and try to find medium ground, and that's why I went around and spoke to local residents about it and wanting to understand what their concerns were and trying to find how to do it.
right.
So,
That'd be the basketball and tennis court thing again?
well, the tennis court's tough because of where it's positioned right now. That's a whole other topic.
Well, the box there.
There's 2 boxes.
Yeah, well, both of them had timers on at one time that where you can put quarters in any time, day or night.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
You know, I mean,
No, there's no quarters, there's no dollars, there's none of that stuff. There's gonna be a timer, they turn the timer, it pops on. We're looking to get the lights replaced too and get LEDs, so that way it also helps reduce, but that's, again, we're moving in phases. It's part of our 2 and 4 year plan with all of this. But what we're trying to do is keep in mind what the residents' concerns and rightfully so, were in the past. And so we're trying to nip those in the bud early so that way we can set a good precedent moving forward.
One other question in the back.
Do we have a litter law? Can we put a sign by the garbage can? And horses,
You mean like like dog curb signs, 'cause that's not too effective.
Well, if they catch somebody that's there late at night and there's litter there,
We'll look into it, Jim.
thank you.
Okay.
I don't even know where the park is, so.
All right,
I
so
have a clue.
do I have a motion then for the lights at the restaurant?
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we authorize an expenditure up to $950 for the light work as proposed at the festival.
I'll second it.
We have a motion, we have a second.
RC,
Yes, sir.
the timer, is it gonna be automated for daylight savings time?
I can talk with it about it, find out what the options
The ones
are.
in the pool are not.
Just,
ones in the
we'll make
pool
So
some,
they're fixed timers.
They're fixed timers, so over the years I've been adjusting them.
that's good to know. I appreciate you expressing your concern, because that would drive me crazy too, just to be honest with you.
There were people that lived there that had little
Okay, so-
children, and
Okay.
Call for the question.
I'm not,
Okay,
I'm not against it.
I understand where you're coming from.
All right, we will check on that now. Okay? So I have a motion and I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. And we'll check on that.
Thank you, I appreciate that, guys.
Mike, you have that one?
Yeah. Yeah, and just quickly, there is a park rule that you can't throw or deposit cans, bottles, broken glass, paper, rubbish of any description except in containers. So there is a regulation that you have to do that.
So it's unfortunate.
Okay, next item.
If you see something else out.
Bill payments, invoices.
Yeah, the next Township Supervisors meeting that was originally scheduled for July 1st will not be held. So we do still have bills that need to be paid, as well as payroll and so forth. Payroll is sort of it's already taken care of, but the goal was here just to have a tracking internally, as well as for the auditor, that the Board of Supervisors could authorize payment of bills and invoices received from today yesterday, through July 1st, following a review and approval of the Secretary Treasurer and the Assistant Treasurer. So it's pretty much the process we do, but since there's not a meeting, it's just formalizing that work being done, and then we'll work off of that.
Okay, so you want a motion for that?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion to authorize the payment of bills and invoices received from June 16th through July 1st, following the review and approval of the Secretary Treasurer and the Assistant Treasurer.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries.
Was there a question there, or?
Will those bills and invoices be available for review prior to the time the board meets and approves them?
Yes, they will be on the next list of bills at the next Township Supervisor meeting.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, next item. Univest and Univest Trust authorization. That's resolution 2021-06.
Yeah, this essentially is just to bring up to speed the signers on our Univest accounts. So there's a process we need to do by resolution, which Judy has put together, and you guys have in front of you, which essentially has all of you authorized, who are the 3 supervisors authorized to sign. We'll sign that, we'll submit it, and we update that, those accounts. Anything else, Judy? No?
All right, I will make a motion to adopt resolution 2021-06, a Univest Bank and Trust Company corporate authorizing, naming the current East Cocalico Township Board of Supervisors to act as the authorized agents and signers on all money market accounts. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I will second that.
Comments, questions? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. Choosing events, that one,
And just for informational purposes, that is a 3 supervisor signature on that account. So, not 1, not 2, 3.
okay. Police Department reports, Chief.
Thank you. A little celebration. We're finally up to full staff where everybody is off the FTO program. So Officer Stauffer and Officer Gonzalez are off FTO. And they will be, Officer Gonzalez has been for a few weeks, but he's out in the car by himself. And Officer Stauffer will be his next shift when he returns. So we are finally up to full complement. That may change at the beginning of the year next year, but we are finally up to full complement after trying for a very long time to get there. So I'm happy about that.
So that means no overtime, right?
I wish. Less overtime, I'll say. Less overtime. We have received we put a request or a letter to the businesses in the township in reference to National Night Out, which will be held August 3rd, 2021 at the Arenes Town Memorial Park. I believe it starts at 6 p.m. I have to check on that, but it was very successful, not last year because we had to cancel it, but the year before and many other years. And the businesses have stepped up, and I believe it's the businesses in East Cocalico and Denver Borough, and we have received a phenomenal amount of money that we are going to use for National Night Out to make it hopefully one of the best we've had. So I would like to say thank you to all the businesses that donated either money or gift cards or whatever it may have been. So it's a tremendous thing to see those items coming in basically every day from various people. Again, I think we're going to attempt to recognize all those businesses and people at National Night Out, and we're even talking about possibly getting some t-shirts for the kids with all the sponsors on it. So we're actively, Sergeant Savage is actively working on that, hopefully getting it ready by August 3rd. And I'll keep it brief, just to fill you in, we finished the second phase of the speed details that occurred. And I'll quickly run down the list. May 19th is a 700 block North 6th Street in Denver, 9 citations. May 24th, 1100 block West Wardsville, 13 citations, 4 warnings. 24th, same day, 200 block East Lancaster Avenue, 12 citations, that's in Denver Borough, 12 citations, 3 warnings. The 25th of May, 100 block North Reamstown Road, 16 citations, 2 warnings. The 26th of May, 222 southbound, 9 citations. 27th, 400 block of Haunstown Road, 21 citations. June 2nd, 1st block of South Reamstown Road, 14 citations, 1 warning. June 2nd, 700 block North 6th Street in Denver Borough, 11 citations, 4 warnings, and 1 DUI arrest. 2nd of June, also 222 South, 7 citations, 1 DUI, including in that possession of marijuana and paraphernalia charge, and 3 underage alcohol violations. So I would call that a success and a lot of hard work put in by the officers to accomplish that. And all that money for the overtime is reimbursed through the grant. And there will be another grant coming up, so if anybody, and we do them all over the place, but those obviously are some problem areas that we concentrate on, so keep that in mind when you're driving on the way for And that's all I have to say.
Any questions for the chief?
Job well done. Yeah, good job.
I pass that on, thank you.
Yeah, good job.
Chief.
One quick question, if I could, who's responsible for the traffic light? There, 897 and 272, is that East Calico or West Calico?
At 897 and 272?
That Weaver's Market there, yeah.
Yeah, that's East Cocalico.
Okay, that light, somebody's gonna get killed there one of these days. I live in that area, and I routinely see people blow that light seconds after it's been red. People have plenty of time to stop, and they continue to blow that light. Coming south on 897, they turn right on red in front of traffic. And I don't think I've ever seen an officer sitting there watching that intersection. I'd like to highly recommend or request that someone do that. I think you could probably make your budget for several weeks watching that light, just for people blowing the red light. It is very dangerous. If somebody's going to get hurt seriously killed there when somebody gets beat up.
We have sat down, one of the businesses across from the other entrance at Weaver Markets in the past, kind of watching the light. But I will definitely put that out to the officers as a problem area, and hopefully you'll see some patrol there soon.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I travel that frequently too. I'll second that.
Especially in the morning.
Yeah. Only work traffic, I know.
Thank you. Okay, financial administrators report.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Okay, so tonight I have balance sheets for each of the funds to present. On the bottom of the general fund balance sheet, I have an analysis of monies that are due to the general fund from other funds. So for the light and hydrant fund, of course, we have payroll that we pay out of the general fund, and the commissions paid on the hydrant and light taxes are due back to the general fund. That's what's under the payroll heading. Also, with delinquent taxes that we get from Keystone Collections, they collect delinquent LST, hydrant, and light taxes for us. So when I receive that check, I get one check. It has to go to 3 separate funds. The bank won't let me split the check between 3 separate bank accounts. So what I do is I deposit it to the general fund, and then that money will be owed to the light and hydrant fund. So if you net those two sources of money together, the light fund owes the general fund $534, and the general fund owes the hydrant fund $231, just because there was more delinquent collections than there was payroll paid out. Then for the recreation, capital reserve, and traffic impact funds, you'll remember in December of 2020, we authorized moving the balances at Ephrata National Bank to the money market accounts at Univest to earn a slightly higher rate of interest. So we don't have checks that we can write from those accounts anymore. So currently I'm writing any expenses for those funds from the general fund. So those funds do owe some money back to the general fund. Now, we couldn't make those transfers until we did the resolution tonight for Univest and got everyone as signers, because like Mr. Mitchell pointed out, all 3 supervisors need to sign those withdrawals for those money market accounts. So once I submit those to the bank at the next meeting, I will have motions to make all these transfers and clear all these due to, due from balances, and we'll get the cash in the correct accounts. So the balance sheets just show us the amount of cash that we have in each fund, and also the amount of fund balance that we have. So if you have any questions, I'll answer them. Otherwise, I'll move on to the budget status report. Okay. All right, so revenue is pretty much on track, especially for the taxes. There are several line items that I need to bill out. For instance, for Denver Borough, shared police services, reimbursements for the school resource officer. So that's why those revenues appear a little low, but I'm planning on doing that within the next week. So hopefully that revenue will be in next month or the month after. So revenue is looking good. There are a couple line items on the expense side that I'd like to talk about. And I'm looking at the budget percentages, and I'm looking at, I want to provide an explanation for anything that is at about 60% spent, because we should be at about 50% spent. So I just want to either provide explanations or let you know if we might be short in some budget lines. So the first one is, of course, the management line, and we discussed that earlier about the settlement was paid out with the June payroll, so that is why that is high. The next one is professional services. We had some solicitor fees that we weren't expecting, so we're probably gonna be short in the budget there. For the engineer, we're at 83% spent, and that is because of the volume of work that the planning office is doing. So I expect that will be over budget as well.
Judy, there are reimbursements coming in like they should be, or are we a little behind on that?
Reimbursements for the engineer?
Yeah.
The reimbursements for the engineer are actually down in the zoning and planning officials line.
Okay.
So this is just the engineer for
Our
the bills that we're responsible for,
Got it.
correct?
Yep.
So that we will be a little short there just because of the volume of work that we're doing. Hopefully the fees that we're collecting will make up for it, but they're up in the revenue section and they're not down here with the expenses.
Got it.
Okay, so I just explained why zoning and planning officials is at 72%. There is $41,000 in reimbursements we're expecting. Okay, so that should bring that down into an acceptable range.
Are they coming back in like quarterly fashion, or?
Again, I haven't billed for, I think the last time I billed was March. So they are a little bit behind. I will be working on those billings in the next 2 weeks. So that money flows in pretty quickly. I imagine that that'll be in before the next meeting as well.
I know there was a time where it was, that was part of the catch-up process
Yes.
that you were doing. Do you think you're there now with that? Or?
Yeah, I mean, we did get it caught up, and then unfortunately the last couple of months got a little hectic with everybody chipping in to cover things. So now I'm sure I can get it caught up again.
Good, thank you.
Okay. And then the highway department, I want to point out that all the leases are paid. So that's the reason why that's at 61%. I expect it'll drop, normalize as we get through more months. So our leases are $138,733 a year. So you can see how much that makes up of that department's budget. Okay, let's see what's next. Snow materials, highway. I think that's self-explanatory with those big storms in January and February. We spent quite a bit of money there. The community line is at 100%. That's because that is one donation. That donation was paid out to the drug task force. So that's taken care of. And then the insurance line is over budget. And the benefits is getting a little bit high, and that's because of unemployment compensation that needs to be paid to the state. In 2020, we had a very large credit with the state unemployment compensation fund. That credit is gone in 2021, so now we're starting to have to pay back in. Okay, so in the general fund, right now we stand about 500,000 more in revenues than expenses. So we have a positive cash flow of about $500,000 in the general fund at this point of the year. So I did provide all the other funds, budget status reports, but I don't really have anything to go over with those unless you have questions.
I have a question for the one piece, for the management piece of it. That's at 113%. You said that was for the leaving of Penny?
Yes.
With legal fees and her pay, and some of the payout?
That would just be the payroll. And that is on the list of bills that the treasurer will be discussing.
That's the total payroll.
For that department, yes. And there's also other things in there besides payroll, but it's mostly payroll.
questions? Okay. Thanks, Judy.
Thank you.
Okay. Road department report, zoning office report.
Yeah, the zoning officer was sick today, but he did submit a report. I'll just kind of highlight that real quick. And then the road department, our roadmaster's on vacation, so I don't have a report for him. But just quickly, in May of 2021, the zoning officer report, 32 building and zoning permit applications, 38 were issued, 15 are in review, and 25 were picked up. There were 15 certificates of occupancy that were completed and issued, 9 false alarm violations. There was a zoning hearing board in June. The applicant Conrad Martin, 67 South Line Road. He's requesting a variance from section 220 for the property at 220-21 for the property at 261 Wabash Road, East Cocalico Township, to allow truck storage. That hearing was held. And there's another hearing in July, Red Run Exhaust of Reamstown, 170 East Church Street, requesting a variance for the property to permit multiple non-conforming uses on the property. There is a series of code enforcement areas, and please excuse me, I haven't attended any of these meetings, so I'm not sure if we get this far or if I'm just trying to highlight them, so if there's any questions, I can try and answer. Issued 3 violations notice of violation of 3 residents for lack of property maintenance, 1 resident for earth disturbance complaint, 2 residents for nuisance complaints of barking dogs. There was 1 housing of chickens, livestock in an R1 zone, and then a summary of other meetings that he attended, both at with the township engineer, with the MS4 tech, and with other places in the township. So that report is part of the packet, and again, he's not here tonight, so I'll present that. If there are any questions, I can try to answer them.
Thanks, Mike. MS4 stormwater report.
Yes, the first bit of news to report is that the application we put in for the community development block grant has been funded to the tune of $200,000.
Good job.
And that those funds will be used for the lining of the stormwater pipes in Reamstown Heights subdivision. Been busy inspecting BMPs, firmware basins, and related things. The ones that we have to get done this permit year, and I've got 26 of the 33 done, and we should have the rest will be done by the end of the month as needed. We had a meeting of the MS4 advisory board to discuss where we're at and where we're headed. And we also discussed the process we're going to be using to try to get agricultural credit from some of the farms for sediment reduction. And we may be, because of technical difficulties, we may try to simplify that by changing the way we're doing it rather than having a bidding process where multiple farmers would bid and the low bid wins, but we may need to take several of the bids to account for the whole thing. It just got really messy. The easier solution is to set a rate and offer to purchase stormwater credit from farmers because of the practices they're putting in. And that will simplify it and eliminate some of the technical legal problems of trying to do it the other way.
Just to add a little bit there, we had originally thought about a bid process, but the solicitor had several roadblocks in that we would have to take the low bid and the low bid only. There would be a bonding requirement. Who pays for that? We had discussed the idea of the township paying for that, but that makes no sense to bid it out and pay the bond too. There's all kinds of little complications in that way of doing things. So if you were to bid it out and take only one low bidder, we might have to do 5 rounds of bidding just to get enough properties in place. So, we then changed our focus to like as Ken said, setting a price on it. And that way, if multiple property owners would agree to that price, then maybe we can get everything we need in one round of advertising. So the challenge is finding the right ballpark price to get that interest. So the idea is to canvass the area a bit, to gather some information from interested parties, and put a kind of a qualifying bid out there, not too high, not too low, just right, to see if that's enough to gather enough interest to get the acres we need. So it might still require multiple attempts, but this is a pilot program. There is no set of guidelines for this. So we're trying to feel our way through it. We had our engineer, we had land planning engineer from Land Studies, and John Williamson from Team Ag. We were all kind of putting our heads together, had Mike there as well, to try and brainstorm the best way to go about this. So, it's my thought that we, go ahead with this in that manner. We do have a sample contract available from Mr. Goodman that we're reviewing. I think it's going to need several changes there to accommodate all the ins and outs of what we want to accomplish. And what's your thought and timetable, Ken, for us getting a proposal with all the details put together to come back to the board?
It would be nice if we could get that done in the next, say, 2 months. The good news is that this doesn't have to be in place and working until maybe March of next year. We're doing the design part now, and we'll be finding people that are interested in doing it, then we'll actually proceed with doing it in 2022.
And we've had multiple property owners interested in it, so I'm confident, I guess, we can get enough acres there to accomplish this. There again, I think the key is trying to find that right spot where we're not overpaying, but we're paying enough for the requirements we're asking. This, ultimately, for those that are unfamiliar, this is an idea that we have to save some of the erosion situations that are happening on farmland and getting our required MS4 credits from local farms, and to accomplish that, our other option is a stream bank restoration project in Reamstown Park with a price tag of upwards to $700,000 for 750 feet of stream bank restoration. It's very, very costly, and we think we can get a lot of years of credit out of farmland for substantially less money. So, that's where we're headed with it.
And that's in addition to the other projects that we're doing, which we'll get credit for, like the stream bank restoration project next to the building here, Roseville Basin, which will now apply for a grant to do that project, and possibly others going forward in the future. If you could show that one graph I gave you, Mike, or can you?
You didn't email it to me, did you?
Oh, I thought I did. Oh, never mind.
I kept calling it in email, but it might come up. It's transparent.
How can we had a big storm last week, and I noticed the water was way over the road out here. How did your plantings fare down here at the creek?
We were very lucky. The netting that we had was was held down, was not damaged by the flood. The flood water was up to within probably a foot of going over the top of the matting we put in to protect the bank, and it did no damage to it. So, very encouraging. All right, there's the graph I see. I did yell at it. All right, now what you see is you see a large blue area, a smaller kind of orange area, and then there's a key on the right-hand side. The blue is stream bank erosion, and what that chart is these are from modeling, not actual numbers, because you really can't get the actual numbers on this. But it's the amount of sediment lost in the urban area of the Cocalico Creek watershed. And so the blue is stream bank erosion, the orange is agricultural land, and the other colors you can't really see in the chart are the urban stormwater stuff, and basically those things that you can't quite see there are the main focus of the MS4 program. So what we're trying to do is go in a different direction than the original MS4 plan was, but in the ways that we're able to do it to attack the things that are really a problem rather than the things that are causing too much of a problem. So that's sort of refocusing what we're doing somewhat differently than the program, but still fitting in the confines of the program the way it's set up. So that is all I have for MS4 tonight.
Ken, I have a question. The grant, is that DCED or is that CDDG?
That's Community Development Block Grant.
It is, so it's federal?
Yes, it is federal money.
Okay.
I have a question about the grant for Rose Hill. Is that going to, are other people who live in Rose Hill going to have to fix other parts of that?
There's only one stormwater basin in the development, and it's entirely on one lot. So it only applies to that one lot. We already have a contract with that person, which they agreed to let us do that on their property.
And then who will maintain it once it's done?
They will.
The property owner will maintain it?
Yeah, well, the property owner has to maintain it now, so we're making some changes to make it work better, and then when we're all done, they'll continue to maintain it the way they always have.
RC,
Yes.
question,
Yeah.
well, for the board, actually. You're talking about a proposal, Jeff's talking about paying ag people for best management practice. Am I following that line of thinking? Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, and where is the money coming from?
it's in the MS4 budget.
So we're paying, out of the township money, we're paying ag people to do something they should be doing in the first place.
No, to go over and above what they're already doing.
Okay, when, going back to a comment that Ken made months ago, I asked a question about when you're driving around, you see runoff coming off of a farmer's field, who should we contact? And Ken said, me. And I said, okay, what can we do? Well, we really can't enforce anything when it comes to farmers' runoff in the field.
That'd be the conservation district.
Well, I'm asking Ken, do you remember that comment?
Yes.
So you're going to award somebody, and then this person could turn around and have runoff coming across the road, and why are you paying them?
Well, there's a difference between sediment-loaded runoff and clear runoff.
And the Chesapeake Bay doesn't count runoff from a field going across the road as polluting the bay.
If the water's clear, there's no sediment leaving.
I don't worry about clear water coming off.
Oh, well, I do, because that's not.
I worry about what we're paying for, and that is dirty water, sediment water. So are you going to have a program in place that if you pay me as a farmer to do best management practices, and all of a sudden my name comes up that I'm getting, there's water runoff coming off my fields across the road, loaded with sediment, You're not gonna go back and take the money back? You're gonna just continue to pay me?
No, there will be qualifiers to it.
Okay, I'm just trying
There will
to see
be,
through, you haven't explained this.
No, well,
there'll be inspections done by the experts from Team Ag, and third-party people will be going and inspecting the farms to make sure that all the BMPs that we're paying for are actually in place and functional.
How often would they do those inspections?
Annually.
Annually. Okay, announced or unannounced?
That I don't know, it has to be decided, but it, announced versus unannounced, you're not gonna quick slip out in your field and change the drainage pattern knowing that somebody's coming tomorrow.
I'd beg to differ, but that's an opinion.
Well, how about this letter? We have a friend who told us that they got a letter from the township. They live
there's
on
300 and some sent out, wasn't there, Ken?
They live on 10 acres.
Quite that many.
And they will be paid to do no-till.
So that they meet minimum residue requirements. As you go around, you see many fields that some of the farmers, operators work them to death. There's hardly any residue left. We get storms like we had last week, and the sediment leaves with the water. The idea is the more residue that's there, it gives us more MS4 credit, and that is worth more dollars to us and to them for that. So, you know, whether they decide to plant it in grass and can get virtually 100% cover, you know, we're working on levels of 30% residue to 60, which is worth basically half of what 60 up to 90 or 100 is. So that's what the value is to us on an MS4 credit.
So the question I'm asking is,
Go ahead.
these people live on 10 acres.
Yes.
They're not farmers. They do not till. But they were offered to stay no-till. So just for owning 10 acres, you're going to pay them.
Yes. Well, I mean, the agricultural land that's on there, not deeded property, whatever would be a farm.
There's a lot of people that live on 10 acres and do not till their land. But if you sent letters to everyone in the township that owns 10 acres or more and offered to pay them to continue to no-till, which they never did, is that the best use?
Well, they have to be in the urban area first to be a qualifier, because that's our qualifier to DEP.
Yeah, they must have been, or they wouldn't have got a letter.
I didn't.
I said they must have been, or they wouldn't have gotten a letter from you guys. They thought it was strange. They don't farm their land. But they got a letter saying, we'll pay you to not. And they're like thrilled to death to take the money.
The goal is obviously to get tilled land and make the improvements there. And that's where we're headed with most of the interest that's come in. But realistically, we have to offer this to all property owners that have a minimum of 5 acres tillable land. You know, that covers our basic overhead. You know, somebody that has an acre or two, there's not a lot of value there. So we put a 5 acre qualifier on tillable farmland to be into this.
So when those payments start going out, will we see that in the MS4 budget?
Yes.
We'll see what that's costing.
Yeah, we'll be completely transparent with that.
Okay. Anything else?
When you have runoff from the farmer's field, and it's damaging the stream between the two homes, who gets to come and clean that up or take care of it?
It depends on what's causing it. There's some things that generate sediment into a stream that simply aren't violation of Pennsylvania law, and we can't do anything about it. The law isn't there to do that. Probably should be, but not every cause of sediment in the stream is regulated to the point that we can go out and find somebody to make them clean it up, or the conservation district can do that. It's unfortunate that's the way it is. Farmers get a lot of leeway because of the nature of farming. And so at the state level, when those regulations were put in place, the farmers get a lot of slack in that, and that's a problem, but it's nothing we can do.
Who takes care of the damage that's into the stream?
Everyone downstream is affected by it.
And who takes care of that?
Well, the answer is everyone's impacted by it, but you can't take care of it. It's there and you can't change it. Because there's no law to allow us to do that. What?
Don't you have a right of way to it?
No, streams don't have right of way.
Are you referring to the township having private?
Yeah, doesn't the township have right of way to this?
Over the streams? No.
So then water just runs down there and
Streams running to private land or private property.
you're talking about
the
farm
water-
fields, you know, and I'm just checking into it. Okay, I just-
Yeah, no, there are no rights of way going with streams. There are protected areas protected from certain things, but you're allowed to farm up within a certain distance of streams, and that's legal, and yes, it generates runoff, and yes, it gets into the stream, and we wish we could do something about it, but we can't, because the law isn't there to allow us.
So just to be clear, the township can't find, it comes from the conservation district. Is that correct?
That's my,
Conservation district has the ability to levy fines if they're required. The township does or does not.
it's my understanding the conservation district does.
That's what I always thought.
Yeah, so if there was a problem and somebody's violating some of the regulations that are in place, then it's a conservation district that gets to actually enforce that. But if we find out about it, we would then be the ones that report it to the conservation district.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report, okay. Total general fund of $193,173.76, and a total light fund of $13,053.55. Is there any questions out there? Yes, sir.
Check number 61100 from Mara Dussel for
Yes.
an audit.
That's
What was
our-
that audit for, do you know?
Go ahead, Judy.
That's our yearly audit. We have to have an audit every year to file the DCED report that's required with the state.
Okay.
That's half of it, by the way. There's another bill forthcoming when they
Okay.
finish the work.
And just also for some more information, they're normally in here 3 days, 4 days?
Yeah, I believe they were here for 3 days, 2.5 days. But then they're also doing more work back in their office. I spent the next week sending them information. So they tell me they'll have drafts by July 4th, I believe they said.
And the check above that, 61099, just curious, the paving of the basketball court, did
Yes.
that come in over budget?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, how much over?
There was a requirement of an extra 100 tons of stone. There was not enough there. So it was basically $1,000 and I think $2.
Oh.
It was really, really super light, really light.
So, anybody else?
So the last page, first two items, 6001, 6002 for the payroll count.
Well, we'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to that. First things first.
Sorry about that.
No, it's no problem. Anybody else? Okay, I make a motion that we approve these bills as listed. Second. Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Thank you.
Motion carries.
And the payroll account for pay period of May 23rd to June 5th. And that is $191,957.49. Now, is there any questions?
So those first two lines, that's part of the, I'm gonna say hush money to Penny?
The first one is the normal payroll.
It's the second one that's the normal
The
payroll.
second one is the normal payroll. Thank you, Judy.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Okay, that does not need a motion, I don't think. It's paid. Okay, that's my report.
I have one question, Jeff. I had asked you last meeting about a bill from May.
Here it is.
Okay, thank you. I know it took them off.
It's here.
This is part of the frustration. We can never get answers on a timely basis.
Here it is.
I
I apologize for missing it last meeting.
Month late. Thank you.
Yep.
Which of the two payouts, payroll accounts would pay out the short manager?
I
Is
can't,
Alan Maxwell coming in via Zoom?
Yes, I'm sorry.
I didn't hear the question.
Which of the two payroll accounts were the payouts of the previous manager?
Is that
which
Which payroll line was?
The first one.
001 or 002?
001.
And how many more payments late that could be back?
You hear that?
Nope, not a clue.
Can you repeat that? I can't hear you. Sorry.
I said, how many more payouts like that could we expect until this settlement is clear?
Address that, Mr. Chairman.
That is in the settlement agreement that we have, well, it's not a settlement agreement. That is within the separation agreement we have with Penny Paula.
So it was not covered under her original contract, if I'm not mistaken, tremendous payout for something.
It said it's not covered under original contract.
That's part of the original contract, absolutely. That's what that is.
The original contract stated that she would receive a $200,000 payout if she left them time short of whatever the contract length was.
I don't have the contract in front of me to
Would
answer.
you like it?
Well, Alan's here and Doug's here also, so they were present. They can also help answer that question. I believe it was a 2-year term.
So even if she would have left on her own will at the end of 2 years, she would have received $200,000?
I can tell you that, as I remember it, we did sign an agreement with Penny because there was fear on her part that the Board of Supervisors changing, she was worried about her job. And under Pennsylvania law, this is a right-to-work state. You come into work tomorrow and I don't like the color of your hair, I can technically fire you. And that's whatever, there's hardly any managers do not have a agreement to protect themselves. So we gave her one. So we only gave her an agreement for severance pay. We did not give her an agreement that covered any excess insurance. We did not give her an agreement for the term hush money was used here, but a gag order. That was not part of the contract. Those
It's
were
my
all
understanding
things.
she was given 2 years of benefits, though, in addition to the payout.
I don't know that. I just know that the original contract was for a certain length of time, and it was a payout for that time only. There was no mention of insurance, there was no mention of a non-disclosure clause, there was nothing in that original agreement. That was all
Was she released earlier than that contract term?
You'll have to ask the city board.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I'm asking you, was she released earlier than the length of the contract was set for?
She was released earlier. She requested separation, so there was a separation.
So someone that was only here a short period of time received that large of a settlement agreement when she was released early from the contract, so she did not even fulfill the terms of that contract. Is that correct?
I have no comment on that because you have multiple questions embedded inside that question, and there's confidentiality clauses that were in there that you're referencing.
I understand that, sir. It just seems awful strange that someone who here was such a short period of time, did not serve her contract, was released by the board, and then still received her settlement that was part of her contract. Something doesn't seem right. In the real business world, that would never fly unless there was circumstances where, pardon the expression, she had the board by the short hairs.
Any other questions?
I'd like you to answer his questions.
Here an answer.
Those are
If you go around, answer his questions.
Those are statements, they're not questions.
Sir, repeat the question again. The guy on the phone.
Yes, sir. I'm questioning why, if she was released early from her contract, by the board's determination to release her, she did not fill her contract. Even though her contract said that if she fulfilled her contract, she would receive that settlement. Why she was still given that settlement? Plus, as I said, in my understanding, 2 years of benefits. My question is, why did that take place if she did not fill her contract?
I cannot comment on that, and neither can anyone on this board.
And you can understand, sir, why we feel like something suspicious is going on.
And can you tell us why you can't answer that?
There was legal settlement agreements in place and separation clauses. It's that simple.
It's not simple, sir, when you're talking almost well over $200,000 of taxpayer money. That is a tremendous amount of money that is basically being unaccounted for in the public's eye.
Any other questions?
Well, I believe in Anaheim Township, there's an article in the LNP about an $80,000 separation fee for their manager. Bigger township, more revenue. So can you explain the discrepancy of $80,000 for township to $200,000?
I won't comment on the discrepancies because even the Manheim Township one did not have details.
But you have the details, correct?
No, not for Manheim
No,
Township,
for
there's no
here.
details.
For here, for Cocalico. Hello? Yes? No?
Of course we do, we're sitting on the board. But you need to understand there's certain things we are legally not allowed to discuss.
Suspicious.
Moving on. Okay, fire and emergency services, Jeff?
Nothing's changed there in my
Tabling it?
We're tabling.
Okay. What
I
about
got a question.
Sure.
For that section here, last meeting, it was discussed, Donnie brought it up about trying to get it back rolling again. I know Chad said he was very busy and unable to, his schedule's busy. Can the township at least get a date a month out to see if you can
He
get
had
it available?
indicated at the meeting that he would not be available for at least the next 4 months. That's what I heard him say.
I understand that. But something that has been tabled for so long should probably keep going.
I don't disagree with you, but I'm saying, you
Agreed.
asked me, can we have a meeting in a month or whatever? I heard him say, I'm not available for at least the next 4 months. Okay, now, I respect that.
If the other two
Well,
companies are available, could they?
I'm receptive to whatever the three companies want to do.
Sure.
The issue always becomes that, you know, nobody ever gets on the same
The
page.
door's always going to close, so eventually the township might say, hey, this is the date, it's 2 months out, free your schedule.
Everybody's got to buy in and get on the same page.
Agreed.
And that's a challenge.
Agreed.
I would like to get there someday.
I think you're making a mistake. I think you need to hold a meeting and whoever's there is there, but at least show some good faith effort. I've been sitting in these meetings since I left office, and this guy's been put on the back burner, and you gentlemen keep tabling the issue.
That's right.
And you're just kicking the can down the road. Probably hoping that he retires or something, so you don't have to deal with it. But, you know, if Chad can't be there, that's fine. At least hear the guy out. Hear what he has to say. And then when Chad gets back, you can talk about it. But you're using, what happens if one of these guys gets hurt? You're gonna use that as an excuse? Heaven forbid COVID would ever come back. We'd never get anything done.
One of the, you know, the board did have a discussion. The board did have a discussion with Mr. Rozak. Informationally.
I did not.
No, you were not here, that's correct. You know, one of the things that he said was, you know, the first step that needs to happen is a buy-in from everybody involved, whether it's the board or the companies. And we have not got to that spot yet. Do you want me, or this board, spending money to bring an expert in, and one of the companies, well, we're not interested at this time? You wouldn't be happy then either, would you? I wouldn't be.
I would be happy. At least you get off dead center. You're just using this as an excuse. That's all it is. That's how I see it.
Okay, no, that's fine. You were involved in this process for a lot of years. You know how complicated it gets.
I understand that, but
Okay.
you get the research done.
Okay.
Let him come in and give his spiel, and then when Chad's available, you can tell him what's going on. Somebody from that fire company can be there in his behalf.
I think from what I heard, the management's all coming from the same spot in that fire company.
I'm not picking on the fire company. Like I said, when you see table,
Okay.
and no excuses.
I agree. I don't want to put time and money out there if it's not going to be fruitful.
Well, you know, this township over the years has spent money other times that they probably shouldn't have, but you gotta move on. No decision, even a bad decision is better than none at all.
All right. Fair enough.
Thank you, Jeff.
New business. Anyone?
Yes. I would like to ask the manager if you would take a look.
You forgot
Are
something.
we skipping the street lighting?
Oh, he has a report on that.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that one. Thank you.
Yeah, came on, contacted PPL, met with them out at the site, got the paperwork, signed the form. I got it today, it'll be sent in tomorrow. And I think they also marked the site where the new pole and light's going to be. That'll be extending out into that intersection diagonally. So I think they said it's going to take, they're running about 2 months from the time the order signed to when they put the pole in, but it is scheduled, and they did put the thing in, so.
Thank you, Brian.
The hardest part of it was finding the intersection for it, but that's
We had light.
Okay.
Yeah, I would ask Mike, well, first of all, thank you. Because that is a dark intersection. But anyway, I would ask you if you would go out and take a look. North Reamstown Road in the area of 8789 North Reamstown Road. Whoever did work beneath the street there, the blacktop job that they put back, that should be their last. They really should find other. It's terrible. I don't know how else to put it.
It's almost like the water main ruptured under the street and it just heaved everything.
Yeah.
It really is bad, I agree.
Okay.
Well, people are going slow on that one, it's,
It's in a speed bump.
That's done.
That's the way I look at it, it's a speed bump.
It's done.
The guy down the street shouldn't be
And-
fussing anymore about
And
speeders.
I just, well, the Rick here, yesterday afternoon, beautiful day, I went back to visit the beautiful East Cocalico Township swimming pool. I must admit I hadn't been there in years, but went back to visit. There was about 100 people there, maybe 40 in the water, 60 out, something like that. And I recommend the snow cone for $1 as the food bar. They were happy people, they really were. It's refreshing, y'all ought to go.
May we take a long lunch to go out every day?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
He's paying.
Eddie, you have an update on the playground at Stony Point.
Yeah, so it's been great, working with this installation crew.
You're being facetious.
Very facetious. And I say that because so when we broke ground initially, the project was supposed to be completed last Friday. The unfortunate part is that there were materials that weren't delivered from California on time, including the border, the mulch, the chips rather, and this sweetening equipment for the swings. So Jeff, RC, Mike's now copied. We've been having communication back and forth with the project manager. And so it's been about 4 weeks now since we've been going back and forth, and we're trying to quote unquote find time to come back and do it. What I'm asking at this point is, this is becoming a huge liability for us, because one of the reasons why we didn't want to put the rocks on the rock walls was kids would have climbed up on it and hurt themselves, and just would have been a disaster. So the materials that need to be the big ones are on site. The other ones are in my garage because I don't want to get rained on and stolen themselves. So with that being said, I would like for Mike, if you could, I'm not trying to put you on the spot at this point, but you can see my email communications that are going back and forth. I would ask that you get involved at this point. I would ask that, from a contract standpoint, I've tried to press them from all different angles. They said they apologized, he wants some free benches, whatever. I just want to get anything done. And all the other kids do too, you know what I'm saying? Because like the kids, it's like Christmas without you handling the presents, right? So I'm just asking if you can step in. There might be having to get lawyers involved of some sort, or a letter from our law solicitor, and just to press them, because this has been enough's enough. And I would stress that the communication has been subpar, under promise, or over promise, under deliver by far. And you know that, Chief, right?
Yeah, I've seen the emails, it's not good.
Yeah, so with that being said, I'm just asking you to step in at this point, and whatever I can do to help. I've copied the woman who sold us or that worked with us during that sales process. So anyway, long story short, I'm doing everything I can to press it forward. I'm ready to go. I mean, I'm getting people around the neighborhood saying, can we help out, like putting mulch down, you know what I mean? So it's time to move forward with this.
You guys okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think we've only paid
We've only paid half.
the installation.
We've only paid for half the installation, so that's not, I mean, it is what it is. And so, yeah, even the grass that that Brett and his crew did started growing. Yeah, exactly. So this is, there needs to be some recourse associated with this by far. I've been kind. I've sent 2 firm emails, and now it's just time to take it to the next level.
Thank you.
Okay. And the residents, I apologize, I'm very sorry, so.
If, a letter from the solicitor might be helpful.
Well, let Mike,
Yeah.
I would like to check.
or let, before we put a letter together from the solicitor, let Mike. Yeah.
It's awesome. I mean, so far, like, just from a feedback standpoint, I mean, the kids are super excited, the parents are excited. I mean, I just got an email from Lisa about a gentleman from the community asking to call. I called him twice, he didn't answer. I followed up with a text message, explained to him from a high level what's going on. He's like, I know. He's like, I'm really sorry. Well, my grandkids are like super excited. They constantly ask me, like, are we there yet? You know, so I get it. They're ready to go.
Mike, manager's report.
Yeah, the two items that are listed, before I get into them, again, want to thank the board and the staff and all of you I've interacted with over the last 9 days, just getting oriented here, get situated. I'm directionally challenged anyway. You know, if it's not a grid, it has a number, I'm usually off, so people have been at least willing to deal with that as I get to different places a little bit longer. So I'm looking forward to working with all of you. I appreciate the reception I've had so far, and hopefully we can work together and do some really good things for our community. Jumping into, we had talked a little bit earlier about the resignation of the zoning officer, that we were looking at trying to fill that gap, at least initially short term, as we look at the long-term component of that. So developed some specifications, which we sent out, and we did receive, and all this again is happening within a couple days' time, where you have to develop them, get in touch with people. On top of it, I'm introducing myself as a new person from this township. They don't know exactly who I am and what I'm related to. But we did get a proposal tonight from a third party, zoning code enforcement services from ABI, Associated Building Inspections. And they did address the issues in the RFP that were drawn up. Essentially what we're looking for is a contracted 24 hours a week, and it can range from 20 to 24. We started with 24 as a thought to try and match what we're seeing volume-wise in the township now. On top of just zoning permits, but just interaction with the land planner and all the other items that are going on now as you see these different parts of the township being developed. But looking at maybe 2 days in office and then that other time, and so again, these are some of these that we're kind of calculating out now. This is the first that I saw, the first that the board got it. It came about 4:48 today. But looking at anywhere 20 to 24 hours, 2 days in, like Tuesday, Thursday, so if someone had to come in, would be able to talk with the zoning officer, would be able to interact with them. In the interim, we'd also be collecting those and coordinating. We do have administrative staff that would be able to, process-wise, so if you submit one on a Wednesday, it still is going to get to the zoning officer. You just may not have a person here to do that. The proposal that's put together gives the board the ability, within 30 days, to terminate. So if we do get, as we're looking at trying to do this on the short term, there's still a time that's going to come to figure out that long-term part. But we're not going to be locked in if we do this, and that it hampers what we want to do long-term. We have an easy ability to transition over to where we want to be. The cost that they proposed for this full-time zoning officer and the services to meet what we're doing now is $70 an hour, and then it's a $75 fee per zoning permit, so a permit application. So if you look at 20 hours a week, $70 an hour I just stretched it out to the end of the year, 28 weeks. We're looking at about $47,040. I'm sorry, $39,200. The first one was based off 24. And then if you do 200 more permits, that's based off what we've seen this year. That's another $15,000. So we're about $54,200. We're about ballpark-wise when you look at what we budgeted this year. If we would have had our full-time zoning officer on board, paying benefits and wages and everything else. So it's pretty close to being a match. And that again is the worst case scenario. So that's saying that it's going to take us possibly to January to do something different. I just want to give the board a sense of what we're looking at cost-wise so we can compare and know that we're trying to manage our costs the best we can. We really don't have, there's not a good alternative to not have someone in that position based off of the volume that we see here. It would just set everything off in the wrong way. We don't want to do it. We want to be better than just maintaining and keeping our head above water. We want to be able to process, get professional services in, move us along as we look to make our change and again, move into the future. I'm new, this would be a new person here, it would be a new format, and that's something that we're going to have to develop over the course of the next couple of months. So the proposal that we have here would enable us, if the board is inclined, and I'll answer any questions you have, any that I can, any from the public. But if we do move ahead with this, we could get someone into the township beginning next week, which will give us about 2 days roughly of carryover with the current zoning officer, as well as we are still going to have the current zoning administrative assistant here to help kind of sort of blend those these kind of two movements. You know, from my end, being here 9 days, I've been through, I've talked, I've tried to learn the process, tried to make sure I understand the different components of it. But if you ask me to pull your file right now, I would probably disappear in that office. I wouldn't be able to get it. So maybe, hopefully, in about 3 weeks, I would be able to easily find it, but I'm not going to find it tonight. I'm not going to find it tomorrow. So we want to make sure we have that. We just don't lose that. We're too busy with the community to let that fall by the wayside. So we have to do an interim step as we plan for the long step. So with that said, I don't know if you guys have a chat. I mean, the information in the RFP was pretty much background information about the firm, about the people who would be providing the service, their fee structures in there, and essentially them complying with what we were looking to do to make sure we had representation here, both during the week and then they would be off-site. It does include going to the zoning hearing board meeting, representing the township there. It does include attending the planning commission meeting. If there are going to be big components that we have to make sure we keep up. There'll probably be a bigger emphasis as well, and with me being involved with that, just to make sure we don't miss those connections, because we can't operate in a vacuum. We have to make sure all sides are seeing what we're doing. So
You did say on a regular 2-day-a-week basis.
Right. Yeah, in 2 days, Tuesday, Thursday, right now is the thought. That way we split it, and then there would be time. If we did 20 hours, that would give 4 hours that they could still be processing things remotely. But we would try to gather, and we would invite people. I would encourage, and also make sure we communicate this, that if you have an issue that you want to talk to the zoning officer about, you're going to want to come in on Tuesday and Thursday so you can see that person firsthand, instead of just dropping it off to me or someone at least at the desk, and then we're processing it.
Is that going to be enough time to keep up?
I think really what we have now is we're almost trial by fire, you know, and you don't want to go too far and have to scale it back. My thought is, let's start here and see where we are. We can assess, and if we find that we are missing and we're not enough, we have the option to increase those number of hours. If we find that it's a nice medium and we're moving forward, then we're in a good spot that way. So I always try to be a little more conservative in that, give us the option to be able to adjust up as opposed to try to adjust back.
So it could wind up being an extra half a day or so a week, or a full day every other week, or
yeah, it does not look like it's slowing down. I mean, even when you look at the number of permits last year during COVID, those numbers were significantly higher than the year before. So people are, and that's great for our community. You know, you want to grow responsibly. You want to make sure that you can grow and you get the answers you need, and hopefully we can keep that process going and not have a fall off, because that's not what our community needs.
Was this the only proposal you received, Mike, or was it the most cost efficient of the proposals you received?
This was the only proposal I received, and there was 2 inquiries made, and the awkwardness of it all was, hi, I'm Mike Hession, I'm with East Cocalico Township. Hello, and then who are you? And then explain that I have a proposal. Can you get it back to me in 2 days? That's where we kind of ran into the tough spot, because the board doesn't meet again until July. Tony is going to be gone before that, so I didn't want to go through the next couple weeks to see without anyone there, and then we were going to be trying to get back where we need to be. Did look at some other options, whether there was the ability of our current land plan engineer. That was kind of thrown out, but that line was sort of, they're busy and didn't want to blur that, so we looked at moving here, and essentially if we'd have got 2 in tonight, we'd have been talking about both of them. We got 1. It's with a company that has done these type of services in other communities, so it's not like they're new. They do know the area. I know they do some inspection and code review work in Denver Borough. they don't work for the borough. If you submit your permit, you can contract with them. So I do have a relationship from that end with knowing that they do respond, that they are going to do what you ask them to do. It's just this is a new community and a new format for us.
So what kind of commitment are we making to them?
What kind of commitment?
Yeah, like, are we making a,
It would be 30 days.
Okay.
We could cut it off in 30 days. So we bring them on, and let's say things move quickly on the other end, the more long-term end, then we're not locked in for some long period of time. And at the same point, we're not, getting to a point that it's one day to the other day that we would not have somebody here. So I thought when I put it in there, 30 days was a nice compromise that we don't get locked down.
so is $70 an hour the going rate for this position?
Well, I only got one proposal, so I'm looking, when I get that, my thought then is to take that and see how does that play out based off of our usage, like what we see volume-wise, and how will that play out over the course of the balance of the year. So that's why I looked at comparing where we are if we stay without change and everything stayed the way it was now, in-house with it, versus what we would do there, and it's pretty close cost-wise if things continue that way. If the permits drop off, then it's a little less costly, but you're still paying. And if we find them drop off, we may say, hey, 20 hours is more than we need 16. I don't anticipate, based off of what we've seen out there, they're going to drop off anytime soon. But I don't know, if you'd asked me in February of 2020, I wouldn't anticipate a COVID, so you try to do what you can just to make sure you're prepared to go one way or the other. It's not a perfect science, but it's just a way of trying to process, to get things in a comfortable spot that we're safe, protected, and do what we need to do.
It's to bridge it.
It's a baseline.
It's to bridge it.
Just a question Alan alluded to earlier. The fire companies and the emergency services have contacted Tony in all hours, all days. If nobody's here, who are we supposed to contact if we need someone to come out? Is there going to be a contact person for us to call?
Yeah, I think, and I kind of shudder saying it, but I think it's what'll end up happening is it will be deferred to me.
Okay.
So call me early so I know where I'm going. But I will come out.
Okay.
And it's a role, as a manager for Denver for the last 24 years, that was just assumed there. So
Okay.
it's just we want to make sure the township's doing what the township needs to do. It's just now we're going to do it in a little different fashion until we set it.
Okay.
Craig?
Yes.
Comments?
I like it, I think, and I say I like it, I think we do need to do something near term. I never consider myself one that kicks the can down the road. I sure as heck don't want to kick the can down the road here again. I think that a 30-day look-see, them to us and us to them. I think that'll help us a good deal. We'll get feedback, I'm sure, from the public, saying I came in there on a Wednesday at 9 a.m. and I heard crickets, But we need to do something near term, make it happen. We don't meet again until the middle of July. And that's not acceptable. And simultaneously, we will be looking at long-term so that if they opt out, or if we opt out, we do have a plan B that we're at least looking at.
Yeah, I think it's the best alternative at this time.
Mike, I think it makes sense because we got to bridge it for right now, considering the time constraint. So does someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we hire ABI LLC from Ephrata as a third-party zoning/code enforcement services 21? Is that good? June 21? or-
Yep, that's Monday, right? Yep, June 21st. Yep.
Effective June 21. And further proposal with the understanding that either party can terminate after 30.
I will second that. Comments, questions?
Is that without a payout?
I'm sorry?
Is that without a payout, that contract? I just thought I'd ask.
I'm glad you did.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries.
Okay, the other item I have is just a quick one. The Lancaster County Metropolitan Planning Organization was seeking volunteers for the Transportation, Implementation, and Engagement Subcommittees, TIEs. County loves acronyms. Essentially what this group's going to be is people that are going to, volunteers that will serve to make recommendations to the MPO concerning their plan, Connects 2040, which is the county plan, the Transportation Improvement Program, the TIP program that we've talked about before, and other transportation programs. Looking at a commitment of, over the next 2 years, of probably a meeting every other month. I saw the notice that came in through here, and initially they were looking at, the reason why I threw it on here so quickly is, the first one was they were looking for names to be considered. Now, even if we give a name, doesn't mean they're going to be brought on, but they're being considered by tomorrow. So I thought we don't have very much time, obviously, to do this. And part of it's come out of the meeting that was at Smokestown Fire Hall on the 3rd. That, you know, we talked about how do we engage PennDOT, how do we engage the county, how do we get on their radar? And what better way of getting on their radar is than having someone sitting on one of these boards? You know, when Denver Borough 6 years ago was trying to get funding for the Weaver Road Bridge, I started to attend some of those meetings, and as I'm noting different representatives from communities sitting on the board, and I'm looking at where the monies are going, and those monies were going in those areas, and I thought, well, that makes sense. We need to get our voice in there, and make sure they're heard, because if they don't hear from you, they're not going to know what your issues are, and you're not going to go. There's never enough money to cover all of it. So, in preparing this, not wanting to spring this on the board, I did reach out to the chair of the Transportation Impact, I have that right? Impact Advisory Board. I've been calling it something different every time. And I called him, and out of clear blue, and I introduced myself, because I said, you know, I'm new to the community, and wanted to make sure, you know, as I said, I look forward to working with him. I said, you're the chair of this board, would this be something you might be interested in having the commissioners, or the supervisors consider recommending you to the county? And unfortunately, you know, of course, when I prepared for it, to let them know how many meetings we're going to be, because although I saved that for the end of the discussion, you want to ask that question. And he'd indicate he just couldn't. He couldn't make that type of commitment. So I did try to call the vice chair, but I didn't get through today. So you know, this was all happening within the last day or two. But it is important that we consider, I would think, or my recommendation for you guys to consider is that we at least submit a name of someone down there to get ourselves into that mix. And even though I'm new to the community, I'm not new to the overall, unless there's someone else who wants to step up and you guys want to recommend, I'd be more than happy to, if you want to throw my name in, just to see if we can get there. I say that now as I'm running back and forth from Denver, and I'm like, who's calling? And I don't know where I am. But I think that's going to obviously calm down the more familiar you get and you're working with people. But I don't want to jump, I just don't want us to miss the opportunity. And I know it's important that if we have an opportunity to get there, that we get there. So that's unless there's someone else that someone may have said something to you guys or is interested that you feel comfortable with, I mean, I'd be more than happy if you want to throw my name in and see if they may not take, they may choose somebody else, it doesn't matter, whoever gets it.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. If you're comfortable with it, right?
Oh,
You didn't say Greg.
Mike, how often do they meet?
Well, they meet they kind of broke it down a couple different ways. They have some ad hoc groups. They didn't give a definition of that, but they said the role requires 6 to 8 meetings during the 2-year development cycle, and then there was going to be 3 to 5 additional meetings with the Transportation Improvement Program. over a 2-year period during which they worked with PennDOT to do that. And then 4 other meetings, so I totaled all those up to get to over 2 years. We're looking at about every other month, you know. And the big one that drew my attention was obviously having representation on the transportation improvement program. You know, when we're trying to get that divergent diamond funded and all these other things, it's going to be ideal if we can get a voice there to have a voice.
And where do they have this meeting?
More likely down in Lancaster. I'm thinking that's where we're going to be. That's where the MPO now and the TTAC committees, all that meet at the county building down there. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Public comments for non-agenda items. Yes, sir.
This is for Jeff. Jeff, you didn't vote to approve the Board of Supervisors meeting minutes of Thursday, May 20th, because as you said, there was an executive session held that you were not informed of, as well as discussions that you weren't informed of until after they were made. Is that correct, right?
That's what I said.
Yet during the meeting when the Board of Supervisors released Penny, you recused yourself from voting on, you
Abstained.
You recused yourself.
I abstained.
Okay, you abstained. Okay, then I'll wait, I'll let it ride till the next meeting. Thank you.
Alan.
Mr. Carrasco, last meeting you mentioned that we got over $1 million grant. Didn't we?
CARES Act.
CARES Act. Who signed those petitions? Penny? The paperwork for that grant, this is CARES Act. Who did all the paperwork? Penny Pollock, right?
I don't remember, Alan. I don't remember. I'd have to look that up.
Okay, well, I think she did all that work.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay. Talking about fake news, I saw on the internet somebody said that the reason I resigned is because we had a meeting that was, it had a sunshine infraction. Well, that was not true. The DAs looked at it and decided that the meeting was legally held because of COVID at the time. The reason I resigned is because I was not endorsed by the Republican committee, and the committee has now been redistributed afterward, restructured after all that happened. Last year, somebody made a defamation comment about me, and it was spread out through the community. I'd like everybody to know if anybody does that this year, we'll go to court. That's it. Thank you.
I understand that Brent's on vacation, but I just want to say that during the entire repaving of Rose Hill, he contacted me many times to let me know what was going on according to the weather and this, that, and the other thing. So I just wanted to thank him again for getting back to me and thank everybody that was involved with getting that done. It's completely done now as far as I know, and it looks beautiful. So thank you very much. And thank you, Mike, for taking this position because it's a welcome improvement. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think there was one more.
Yeah, done. When we get the ABIA, can we make sure the website's updated when they're going to be in-house?
Okay, sure.
Just a recommendation.
Yep.
Then they can figure it out.
Yes, sir.
So this question's really for Mike. So Mike, what's your involvement in the right to know process as far as reviewing? What's your involvement
In the
right to know?
well, right now, I haven't taken any steps. The chief is still, I guess, was the deputy. Assistant right to know officer. And the, yeah, that's kind of odd. And eventually, I guess, usually the manager moves into that role. So right now, I'm really just assisting. I think as the chief is transitioning back to being the chief, as well as kind of preparing for me to take that role. We've been kind of working hand in hand that way. So, like anything, like I've asked, you know, Judy during these last 9 days, if there's something that I need business-wise for the township, we work together, that's what staff does, so we're gonna just try to work together to make sure that those are resolved. Officially, I believe, I don't think we've taken any official action to appoint me in that position just yet.
Okay. Because in 2020, there were 50 right to knows that were filed over the course of 2020. And
In 2020, there were over 50 right to know requests filed for East Cocalico Township alone, which is an exorbitant amount for such a small township.
And so it seemed like in review of the records that the former manager had a lot of work to do with that. So is there a way that the board may be able to offload our current manager and possibly appoint someone as a right-to-know officer? And also, I know the chief has to be involved in some of those right-to-knows, but just for something to consider for all the work that he has to do with the Denver Borough and now with East Cocalico Township, and to get bogged down in quite a few right-to-knows. It seems like that over the course of 2020, there were many files. Some were routine, and some were quite involved. And it takes some time and resources away from our township manager and also from the chief. So something that could be a concern, and maybe the board would like to think about or consider a right-to-know officer to take care of some of these.
Are you like indicating maybe it's subcontracted, or because I don't know that you're able to do that?
No, and I think the one thing, I think the point you're making is if there's many and you're doing those all the time, especially when you're being shared, then that's going to take a chunk more of that time than it needs to. Right. And just for some context, in Denver Borough, I handle all of those right-to-knows. They're not as many as they are here, by any stretch. They vary sometimes. But I am impressed here with, I went through the files, I got word at it the last week, and to see how many different people, staff members, get involved in trying to gather that data. In Denver, it's a smaller group, so I'm finding all that. Whereas here, there's Judy's done it, Tony's done it, the chief's done it. I mean, it's a pretty good team effort to do that. It is a lot that goes into it. There obviously, when you get a file, you want to make sure you get the record, you want to find it. It's probably, I'm a little slower now here because I don't know where a lot of things are, so there's a process that goes there. But the township does have, or has seen, at least what I've seen over the last couple of years, different components, different people in the township work together to pull that together, which was something I was happy to see because coming from where I did, it would just be me. And when that number grows out, that takes a lot of time.
So just to add to that, out of the 50 right-to-knows, there were 18 submitted by one individual.
There were 18 what?
18 were submitted by just one individual. So, I know that it just seems like this great law that we have for the right to know is really kind of taken advantage of and a time trap.
Well, I didn't mean 50 is, I don't know that it's exorbitant.
No, but I'm saying that.
That's less than one a week.
But I'm saying.
I know a municipality that gets 3 a week.
Right, but we're talking like 40% came from one individual.
I hear
So
you.
I'm just saying that just seemed like a lot.
It is.
Yeah.
But it is the right.
But Chief, I wasn't talking about a subcontract, I was just talking about.
I'm sorry, I just.
Yeah, I didn't mean that.
Again, I try to, we received a few last year from Lancaster newspaper, I think it was, and that was time consuming for me. It was directed towards the police department, every police department in the county. It was a little bit, I asked for an extension grant, there was no problem there. And that seems to be the case just from my time in doing it, that if we do request an extension, people are gracious enough not to have an issue with that. So we're definitely able to, usually within 30 days, we're able to take care of it.
Okay.
You know, there's several that come, or I've seen recently, and Mike helping with this, in reference to the tax rolls, and they come from Chase Morgan, I think, out of New York.
They come from Charles Jones.
That's what it was, I'm sorry, I
Who,
apologize.
they do the tax certifications, and what they're trying to do is get around paying fees to the tax collector. So, it is what it is.
I can tell you, when I was county treasurer, we had somebody submit a request for the 50,000 dog license owners' name and addresses because they had a pet crematorium and they wanted to use that information for marketing. And I turned them down. And it was the first one the county of Lancaster had ever turned down. And I said, I'm going to turn them down. I know I'll lose, but I will be able to look people in the eye and say, I didn't sell your information, I didn't give you information. They got it because I got a court order that says I had to release it. I had another request from LNP for the hotel tax for 120 different hotels for their monthly reports for the last 5 years. 120 reports times 12 months times 5 years. And I turned that one down. It went on appeal. They tried to pay Solomon in Harrisburg and have it, if you will. Came back and it went before President Judge Joe Maddensbacher, who took testimony on it and found in our favor. It was then appealed to Commonwealth Court, who issued, I don't know, like an 11-page, they heard it en banc, and they issued like an 11-page, turned it down, and the next appeal would have been to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, and they opted not to do that.
So does that process cost the township money?
Oh my word, yeah, sure, because someone, as he said, some staff person, we can't bring in a volunteer for this, you know,
Right.
it's not like they're putting library books back in '92 for biography, okay? They're going through the township's files. And so some staff person must be pulled and committed to do this because there are time frames. There are.
And I can tell you, sometimes I'll sit there for an hour trying to interpret the request to make sure I answer it, so, you know, it doesn't come back with the second right to know. So that can be time consuming as
And one
well.
right to know really cost a couple $1,000. Because it was appealed and it was still denied, and that cost the township.
The good news is that if they're looking for something that doesn't exist as a record, we are not required to create a record so that they now have a record to read. If you came in and said, you know, who were the first 40 people to get their tax bills? I don't know. And you know, I don't have to go out and do the research to find out who that was to create that record that does not exist. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
My question is, how do you know about all these right things?
Because we have the right to know.
Okay, so questions answered. That's why people submit, because they want to know things.
I have also submitted for very frivolous reasons in an attempt to harass people in the township.
Well, but
And we're gonna keep digging on that to look into that further. Because that many in a township is a lot, that many submitted by one person is a lot. And if you figure that money by $10 an hour, you're talking several $1,000s of township money that's been wasted on something that was not necessary.
Well, I can tell you, my name's Doug Macklin, I can tell you that I submitted, I don't know how many in the last year, but 12 of those had to do with copies of invoices because I couldn't get an answer from the Board of Supervisors at a meeting. I would ask a question on what was this legal fee for, what was that legal fee for, what was LNP bill for, and I'd either get, I don't know, or I'll get back to you in 2 weeks. And, you know, you get tired of that. It's like a shell game. So that's, yeah, 12 of mine were for invoices. And I'm on public record to tell you that. I wanted to know where my money was being spent. And I pay for those because they charge you a quarter a page to get them back. And I know that doesn't cover the cost of the labor, but if you had the answers, and I know Mike made the comment at the last meeting, he said, we will have those things at our meetings from now on. When you have a question on the invoice, we'll be able to answer. That would have been the easiest thing to do years ago. But no one wanted to be put on the spot. So, yeah, I filed a right to know. That's my right as a citizen.
That's where transparency comes into play.
That's right.
And that's what it's all about, is transparency.
All right, I'd like to announce the next Board of Supervisor meeting will be held on Thursday, July 15th at 7 p.m. in person, public meeting at the Township Building and via live Zoom. We, Mike, you want to adjourn for an executive session?
Yes.
Related to personnel?
Personnel, right.
Do you anticipate we'll be making a decision?
I think, yeah, that's why word is recessed, because there may be a possibility of that, so.
Okay.
Come back.
So we're going to adjourn for an executive session for...
Mr. Chairman, I do have a couple questions in regards to a meeting in March, on March 18th.
Say that again? I'm sorry.
I do have a couple questions in regards to something I read in the meeting minutes for the March 18th meeting. And I'd just like to know a status update on these 2 points, and then I'll have my questions.
Sure, go ahead.
During that discussion, they were talking about the traffic impact study, traffic impact fees for discussion of earth, turf, and wood. During that discussion, the supervisors made a statement that it was agreed upon by all supervisors that a 3-layer review of the traffic impact fee was appropriate. Where are we at on that? Has that review started, or has that been tabled due to lack of interest or no one wanting to take the bull by the horns?
We are currently in the process. I am currently in the process, and I know the other board members are doing the same on their own. We're gathering all of the information on traffic impact, trying to understand exactly all the dynamics behind traffic impact to then proceed with that.
Can we expect a report on that at the next meeting as to where you're at on that, what the status of the review is?
I personally can't promise that because we're still waiting on some answers from engineering, some from legal in terms of how things could play out or not play out. So I can't commit to that. It wouldn't be fair.
That's over a month away. I would hope we have some kind of answers by then. And a follow-up question, and during that meeting also, the financial administrator made a comment in regards to purchasing limits for the supervisors, and she proposed developing a purchasing protocol, a purchasing procedure for the supervisors where the purchase would be requested, it would be reviewed and approved or denied. Has that moved forward at all, or is that tabled?
Are you talking about spending limits for employees?
For the supervisors and I guess the township manager. She had made a comment that there was nothing appropriately in place right now as far as a purchasing procedure with checks and balances. And she proposed coming up with a protocol or a procedure for that for the board to review. And I was was just curious as to where we were at on that. Has that been developed or put in place at all?
Jeff?
The department heads currently put together, no, I mean, the purchase order.
Yeah.
Purchase order that, you know, with the chief, for example, he's got a budget. He puts together a purchase order when, you know, things are that he spends money on that might be, you know, okay, what is this? And with an explanation of what it is. He signs that, I sign it when we sign the checks and pay the bills. So that is the overlapping protocol there that is in place. And Craig reviews that too as assistant treasurer. Mike is currently on that as well, reviewing the bills. The same thing is done with the roadmaster. He fills that paperwork out, and I initial that as well when we're paying the bills. It's basically, as long as they're staying within budget, you know, we don't over scrutinize what goes on, but there's things that come up that do raise questions, and you know, I follow up and ask the questions. The chief has known that from some of the purchases upstairs here, and so does the roadmaster from some of the purchases that he makes. So, you know, I feel overall we have a pretty good handle on it now with multiple sets of eyes that are watching everything that goes on.
And there are some things like...
During the meeting, she was given permission to develop that protocol. I was just curious as to where that was. Thank you.
You want to, gentlemen, let's adjourn for executive session. Recess.
Marcy, I just want to thank the board for they sent out their contribution checks to the fire companies, and I just want to thank you for that. And public service announcement, next Saturday the 26th, the fire companies are going to be training on North Reamstown Road. So if you see a bunch of fire trucks that have come out some smoke, it's the fire company's training on North Reamstown Road there at Burma Mill by Wood. So just let everybody know that.
And you do have a fundraiser on Saturday.
Yes, Saturday Smokestown Fire Company Chicken Barbecue.
Thank you.
Recording stopped.
79. It's 2 weeks from this date. It's dated
I'm not sure what it's about. I've already done that. Yeah. So, okay. I'll do my copy, if I didn't, I will. Okay.
So we just returned from an executive session for personnel. We were in that executive session for approximately 15 minutes.
15, 20.
15 to 20 minutes. Okay, Mike?
Yep, we're, as we have our zoning officer is going to be leaving employment. We discussed the final payment in regard to accrued vacation, sick, and personal time. And the motion that the board will consider will be to pay Tony Luongo, zoning code enforcement officer, his total amount of accrued time, personal, sick, and vacation through his final day of work here. Again, I don't have an exact day because we're still processing or exact amount because we're processing time off in this last week. But he will, whatever is left of what has been accrued and is sitting there, he will be paid for those three.
Okay. And I will make that motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Motion with a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carries. Okay. At this time, if there's no other discussions, I'd like a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carries.